Testing. Should be good now. There we go. We back? We back? Should have sound. Should have sound. One there's always one piece of software missing that I forget to open. And it's always happens to be the sound. It always happens to be the sound. It's like we're like 90% there. All right, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys for pointing that out. I'm looking at right here of Michael Saylor $13 million Bitcoin projections. So we'll have to take a look and see exactly how he's coming across with those numbers. I do think it's important to realize that high price targets is not something that's only seen in the XRP community. A lot of people try to make it seem like, oh, we're the only community that has high price targets on a digital asset. But as we can see right now, we have Michael Saylor running around mainstream media talking about a $13 million Bitcoin. So we'll have to check that out in a minute. More importantly, though, I really want to cover this because this is a very important development that's happening right now. What it is it looks like Kamala Harris is looking to not put anything related into anything crypto related into her campaign. We have right here, she posted her policy positions on her website, and there's absolutely no mention of cryptocurrency. So, for a lot of people, they're probably like, yeah, obviously, there has never been anything from that side of the aisle that was looking to be pro crypto. So why would we be surprised? But for a lot of people, I think people were holding out hope, who typically do vote on that side of the aisle, that there would be some kind of pivot from the administration pushing pro cryptocurrency policy. But once again, we see that this party is absolutely unwilling to make any concessions on that front. And it doesn't look like there's going to be much progress there. So once again, we see the Biden administration and Kamala Harris pushing back on crypto pretty hard here. Let's see what we got. RPM, good to see you. Defin, Roger, good morning. Mary Cox, Messi, hope everyone's doing well this morning. Dan, William, Matt. Guys, make sure if you're here early, you drop a like on the stream. Super, super helpful in getting more people in here. Especially early on in the stream. You guys are the OGs here. So if you guys could just take a second, go out of the live chat, drop that like. That's going to help a lot and make it so I don't have to keep asking going forward. Appreciate you guys a lot here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Take a look at the XRP price chart in a minute, just pulling it up, seeing if we got anything interesting going on here. It looks like there is a recovery going on with XRP, kind of at a pretty important zone. So we'll take a look at that. I do have some weird colors going on here. Look at this. And then we shall go over to the screen. All right, here we go. Yeah, so we got a little bit of a weird color scheme going on here on the XRP price chart. I was definitely making a video where I needed different colors going on, and this just got saved, but not the biggest deal in the world. What we can see here is XRP is actually bouncing at a pretty important zone, which I think is good news. Would love to see this kind of bottom support hold up here, because this is exactly where we anticipated the bounce would be. And it's kind of coming in perfectly alongside just waiting for that October news. So no real issues here, just kind of waiting to get that ultimate bounce back up and be pushing more back towards the top of this range. So as we can see right here, we're starting to create that bottom on this very, very strong support. We had this big sell down, this big wick, and now we're kind of pulling back off of here and hopefully re-putting pressure at the top. We can put pressure back at the top and come over to that October 7th date, right? That's only 3 candles away at this point, and start pushing on that. That could be that moment where this thing flies. CPI data in 2 days. I'm bullish. Okay, awesome. So that's Wednesday. We get that CPI data. Perfect. Yeah, because there's not going to be a live stream. no live streams Thursday and Friday, or at least no live streams like this. I might do a kind of an impromptu one on my phone, but no standard live stream. So keep an eye. Would you just post Stephen? I Stephen, let me just figure out how I can pull what you just sent. I have to go over to YouTube real quick. I had to go over to YouTube. Wow, I did a bad job of setting up the live stream this morning. Oh man, I didn't do anything I was supposed to. That's all right though. That is all right. We will get it set up now. It's Monday morning, right? What do you expect? Deepin, I should be able to pull that short you sent, so we'll take a look at that together. Just need to finish up a couple things here on the back end. I think I complain about this like every single time I go live, but YouTube never saves anything. So it's just constantly remembering to go back and like re-put in all the same settings over and over again. It's so tiring, but whatever. We'll get through it. Okay. So now DFIN, let me pull up that short you sent. And hopefully I can make it so you guys all see as well. There shouldn't be any issues there. DFIN shorts. Okay, cool. Okay. We got it here. Share this tab instead. All right, let's listen up to what DFIN sent and take a look.
Saying here, this article that came out just last month. Good news or a trap? The USA wants to classify cryptocurrencies as traditional currency. According to who? Well, according to a new initiative from the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve could change everything by reclassifying cryptos as currency under the Bank Secrecy Act. I know you've heard me talk about this. Don't go nowhere. Former Ripple advisor Michael S. Barr, supervisor, VP of the Federal Reserve, what is he going to do there? Barr is expected to scale daily oversight of both biggest lenders and small financial firms that play a part in the overall economy. He'll also be in charge of developing regulatory policies for cryptocurrencies and stable coins. Saying here, this article that came out just last month.
Very interesting. I will say I am probably not convinced that we're going to. I am probably not convinced we're going to be in a scenario in which cryptocurrencies are designated as currencies. I just really don't see that as being something that's realistic because it really doesn't make sense for governments to do. Now, if they do that, I am very, very open to that because it'd be very bullish for XRP. But in terms of that happening, I don't know, man. It just doesn't seem like to me that's they're incentivized to do that because they would essentially be making the US dollar or getting rid of the US's dollars kind of prominence in its role in this entire system. So I don't really think that would happen, but obviously if that did happen, that'd be massively bullish. Curious to see what you think. Oh, it would be very interesting if it was to happen. If that was to happen, we would essentially be in a scenario where you could have currency, you would have decentralized neutral currencies that were valued as currency, and then everyone could kind of interact with those currencies on the same level playing field as the US dollar. Now, my opinion is that's probably something they don't want, and they're probably going to push it so that doesn't happen, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily impossible. It just seems like a very pro cryptocurrency thing to do. And it doesn't seem like either side has really been that pro crypto. But then again, does the House or Senate or president need to do anything if the Fed and Treasury said this is now a currency? What did Roger say? Defense still has to come from the House and pass the Senate. Okay. Yeah, so just based off of how we've been operating so far, I would be shocked if we were to get that to pass those departments. Like I said, like it's not necessarily that that couldn't be a conversation. Like I'm sure that's a conversation going on in the back end. I just don't know if the people who ultimately make the decisions would kind of let that happen. So that's my thoughts on that, but it would be extremely, extremely bullish if that was to happen, Deepin. So I appreciate you sharing that. It's definitely an interesting listen. Yeah, that's funny, Roger. Yep, no more jug of water. Long, long story, but the jug of water really just had to come from the fact that at my last place, the water you got from the sink and even with a filter was terrible. So we always had to go get jugs of water. But like now this new place has good water. So I no longer have to have a gallon jug of water I'm carrying around. Funny enough, though, I was supposed to be at CrossFit this morning and that fell through pretty big. So we're gonna try that again tomorrow. I've never done CrossFit before. Does anyone here try that before? I want to give it a shot because my my morning workouts could use someone like forcing me a little bit. I'm a little too I love going to the gym in the morning, but it can quickly turn into me sitting there on my phone listening to music and not as much working out as I probably need to do. So I got to give that a try at some point here. Also, I don't know if there's any Palantir holders in the chat, but Palantir just got it added to the S&P 500, which is pretty cool. Kind of lame. And I was big into it and kind of lame. So two very different conflicting results there. I was just gonna go for a free trial and see if I liked it. The one time I went a while ago, my aunt ran one and she kicked my butt. It was like too much. Institutions need RLUSD first, hit the normal gym and force. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's my normal go-to. That's my normal go-to Sunday slide. Yeah, that's really what I need, Fire Dog. I'm gonna give it a shot tomorrow. Hopefully my alarm doesn't fail me tomorrow. I feel like the Apple alarm will just you're supposed to wake up and then just out of nowhere it's like, all right, we're just not gonna go off today. It's so annoying. Like I woke up, the alarm was selected, and it was just like not ringing. I was like, all right, I guess Apple didn't want me waking up for my morning workout, which is always nice when Apple decides what you're gonna do in the day, but I wasn't too bad to oh, CNBC. Yeah, CNBC right now has Ted Cruz on for a interview on tips. We can hop over to the news, but it just didn't seem like a very interesting segment to be honest. So I'm monitoring CNBC right now. Hopefully we'll jump back after the commercial. Um I do find it interesting this whole discussion on tips and like not taxing tips. Like I totally understand that like both sides want to like not tax tips because it's going to be good for votes, but like if you're a waiter and you're making like $120,000 a year, how is it fair that you're not taxed in relation to like someone making like 60K a year, not a waiter? So like if you're a waiter making less than a certain amount, then I can like say like, okay, maybe like it's okay to say like no tax on tips, but like at the same exact time, like if you're making less than any amount, how is it fair that you don't get taxed and waiters do? So it's kind of a funny discussion. That's what they were just talking about. I was gonna tune in and listen into it, but it seems like a little bit more of like just trying to get votes. Andy, what about gig work? Yeah, what about an Uber driver? Like, why does an Uber driver like they still have to pay on tips? Like just waiters? Like it doesn't make any sense to me, right? There's probably a waiter in the chat right now saying, Mickle, shut up. But yeah, it is just votes. So yeah, that's why I didn't tune into it. You know, it's just votes. Hey Mickle, what's up? Football yesterday? Did you watch? Yeah, I tuned in for most of the games. I skip the last late night game so I could so I could get up early for my CrossFit, which I woke up when my class was starting. So there was that. I should take a quick look at my fantasy team. Yep, Steelers did all right. That was nice to see. That was certainly nice to see. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done, and that's kind of the Steelers' MO these days. Oh, here's another thing that we should talk about. This is further confirmation that the Democrats don't actually want to do anything for crypto. So we'll get this on the screen real quick. Okay, so this is further confirmation that the Democrats are just not going to do anything for crypto. This is Chuck Schumer saying during his crypto town hall that he was going to press for bipartisan legislation for cryptocurrency by the end of the year. And turns out that has nothing to do with what he's pressing for end of the year. There is AI regulation in there, but no actual crypto regulation. So I don't know. This seems to me like almost the most obvious confirmation we can get that the Biden admin has absolutely no interest in doing anything pro crypto. They just really want to talk about being pro crypto and not actually do anything pro crypto. So it really is kind of unfortunate to be in this position. It would have been really, really nice to see a situation in which both parties were actually pro crypto, but it just doesn't seem like that's the reality of the situation. DFin with a killer comment here. Let me pull this up. DFin with a killer comment. This is hilarious. DFin says, "Do you think Schumer knows the difference between AI and crypto?" That's a good point, DFin. He might have thought that he was actually being pro crypto here. He might not know the difference. Did you see the article with Mark Cuban telling Kamala to throw his hat in the ring for the SEC job? Yeah, I got issues with Cuban, man. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure Cuban would be very good for crypto. Let me put it that way. Cuban, let me start this off and say Cuban would be very good for crypto. But Cuban can be so annoying. So annoying. He's like running around like saying like, oh, like Kamala Harris isn't actually going to be like putting in like the capital gains tax and all these things. And it just seems like to me, like the Biden administration is just telling Mark Cuban whatever he needs to hear to make him like go away. And then they're just going to do the opposite. And it kind of seems like to me, he's just kind of the, oh, Mark, like, don't worry, we're going to not do this. And then they probably go behind his back and they're like, all right, let's say it to yeah, he is losing it. Now, let me say this. I still think he would be a much better choice for the SEC than what we've had over the past two administrations. So as much as he's been a kind of a disaster and all over the place, just want to put that out there as well. Let's see. Trying to go through the news and see if we have anything else interesting. Guys, I do want to do I do want to throw this to people's attention real quick, just because I think it's important. I don't know how many developers here will actually watch this channel. I would assume not too many. But if there is any developers watching this channel, there actually is a class that you can take specifically on coding on the XRP ledger and blockchain in general. So if you are someone who does enjoy the development side of things, make sure to check out Chris's channel. It's XRPL 365. He's doing a class, and the class is very, very, very fairly priced on just learning how to develop the XRP ledger. And as you can see, his course is showing up pretty high here in comparison with other results. So the Ethereum one is kind of the one that is the poster child. But if we can kind of get more education like this being pushed to developers, that's obviously going to be very, very good for increasing the XRP ledger development community. So I just wanted to give a shout out there. He's someone who I really enjoy listening to in the space. He's very intelligent. He knows the XRP ledger very, very well. So I just want to make sure I bring this to people's attention because he's putting a lot of hard work into this, and that education niche is something that doesn't always pay off in terms of views or pays off in money, but it's something that I believe is very important to help bolster. So if there is anyone out there who's kind of saying, oh, I've been interested in getting involved in developing on the XRP ledger, but I don't know where to start, that would probably be the best place to start. And as I understand it, he's very open to kind of working with people on an individual basis as you kind of build out your first application. Cuban for SEC. Here's the thing. I just shit on Cuban, but I would love to see Cuban at the SEC. Would love to see Cuban at the SEC. I know for some people, you're probably thinking, how does that make any sense? Why would you want Cuban at the SEC? I think Cuban would do very, very good at the SEC. I do. And it really just comes down to the fact that he has not a lot of common sense. And he doesn't have a lot of common sense, I believe, when it comes to the real world, but he still has way more common sense when it comes to being pro cryptocurrency and than someone like a Gary Gensler. So would love to see Cuban at the SEC. I'm not a huge fan of Mark Cuban. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of things he does, but I mean, guys, Mark Cuban or Gary Gensler, I mean, that makes the conversation a little easier, doesn't it? Also, guys, drop a like on the stream if you're enjoying the new time. I really do enjoy it. I hope you guys notice I do have a lot more energy now than I did before. I was always so tired in those afternoon live streams. And it wasn't because I'm normally tired. It's like because I just ate lunch and I would get on camera, I'd be talking, and I'd have all these different things going on. So I'm liking these morning live streams a lot more. And I think when the market really picks up and we get some fun things going on in terms of economic data, when the election comes around and we can get on early morning and start monitoring this stuff, then I think it's going to be like really, really fun. But I am enjoying this new time a lot. So hopefully you guys are as well. In full clarity in New York can lead to automatic clarity. In full clarity in New York can lead to automatic clarity elsewhere, in my opinion. What do you mean? Messi, what did Messi say? Cuban owns a lot of XRP. Does he? I don't know if he does. I wouldn't be surprised if he does, but I've never seen him comment on it specifically. Let's take a look at what's going on in CNBC real quick. We haven't been over there yet. Oh, he talked about it in 2021? Here, I'm going to throw on CNBC. I'm going to try to find the Mark Cuban owning XRP. We'll switch back and we'll jump back into it in a minute. So let's go to CNBC real quick. Then I'm going to try to find information on Mark Cuban owning XRP. Messi, if you can DM me on the back end any of what you have, that would be great. If not, let's take a look at what's going on CNBC. It looks like they're talking about real estate. I think Firedog will like this. That's not the right screen. Oh, man. All right. That's all right. Let's try this again.
And then offices are what's struggling. And you know, right now there is a supply demand imbalance in office, and there will be real value. There already has been and will continue to be real value destruction in older office buildings. They're just, people don't want to occupy them. The back to office issue.
On a relative basis for your business, how big is the data center component versus the multifamily component versus the office component?
Right. So historically, our business began in affordable housing and multifamily. So a huge portion of our business across the country is multifamily. We actually are one of the largest private owners of affordable housing in the United States. So we are very focused on multifamily. It's been our core, and we continue to build and own and do affordable housing preservation in that space. Data centers are new for us, and I think it's the most incredible asset class I've ever seen in my career in real estate.
Is there a bubble in the data center business given some of the valuations?
I mean, the question is, and we all watch the reports, you know, for the big tech companies, what's their capital spend going to be in the following years? But this asset class is very unique for real estate. Each one of these buildings could cost $4 or $5 billion. You're talking about power numbers that we've never encountered in the real estate business. 100 megawatts, 200, up 500 megawatts. Those buildings, so what's amazing about them, power, as difficult it is to get, becomes the constraint to new developments. You don't have oversupply of these data centers. And for the most part, they're built leased to one of the big hyperscale tech companies. So for us, it's been a great opportunity. You may have seen this past week, we invested in a small company, Applied Digital, who's building a very large data center in North Dakota. But we'll be building in Chicago, North Dakota, Santa Clara. So there's a
boring. I can't find anything on Mark Cuban specifically owning XRP. He has shown a lot of support for the XRP community. He's supported John Deaton, but I can't find anything with him specifically saying I own XRP. So could be missing something. Very often things don't come up in the searches I do initially, and I'll find them later, but I'm not finding anything off the bat. Matt Hamilton saying, "Oh, so Matt All right, we'll pull it up because Matt Hamilton has been someone who's very, very anti-Trump. I know a lot of you probably know Matt Hamilton, so this might be interesting. So Matt Hamilton's responding to Metal Law Man. Metal Law Man said Kamala Harris has just posted her policy, nothing to do with crypto. And Matt Hamilton said, I've had a look through, but can't find anything specific on Trump's website either. Has he published any policy positions on crypto? I mean, the Trump campaign specifically said that crypto is part of their core thing. So, yeah, I don't know. To me, this seems like a stretch. I mean, it is so obvious that the Biden administration, Kamala Harris, have been significantly more anti-crypto. So, seems like a bit like a stretch to me, but you know, to each their own, I guess. Man. Steve said, "Hey Mickle, do you think Biden administration anti-crypto stance will affect XRP as it seems Ripple are the chosen company to lead the new?" No, look, you can only hold back the technology for so long. There was a long period of time, so the internet was created in. I actually want to look that up. I don't know if I actually know when the internet was created. I was gonna say like 1970 something. Okay. Yeah, so the internet was created in 1983. So the internet was created in 1983 and the dot-com bubble didn't happen until 2000. So like there was a huge gap there. Huge gap. From 1983 to 2000, there was so much regulatory pushback. In the same way we're getting this in cryptocurrencies right now. That same exact way we had that in the early days of the internet. So it's not surprising to me that we see the same exact thing for digital currencies. And it's easy to look back at the internet now and say, oh, the United States nailed it. But there was a long time where the United States was anti-crypto. So all we need is someone to, was anti-internet. So all we need is someone to come into the SEC, come into the White House, be pro-cryptocurrency, flip policy, and it will go the same way as the internet. Blockchain technology realistically was invented in 2010. So it's been about 14 years and we're just starting to see that mainstream adoption. In the same exact way, the internet took 17 years to get to the dot-com bubble. So it's almost like we're right on track in terms of mass adoption. I wouldn't say I'm overly worried about any specific administration or regulator stopping it. I don't think they really can. I think at this point, the train has already left the station, for a Rosie Rios quote. they're going to try to do everything they can to slow it down, but there's not going to be slowing it down because regulators are transitory. Regulators are not going to be here forever. And for every anti-crypto regulator we get, I think there's going to be 2 more pro-cryptocurrency regulators coming in. So eventually they're going to be overpowered. Eventually there is going to be this switch. The rest of the world is already on it. The United States is going to be forced to capitulate, and the technology is not going anywhere. So I just don't think there's really much they can do over the long run. Is it going to be more annoyance in the short term in terms of making sure this stuff gets done? Absolutely. I don't think things are going to get easy anytime soon for us. But at the same exact time, I think the most important thing is the technology is so powerful that they're really not going to be able to stop it. Let's say you take a look at what Michael Saylor has to say about a $14 million Bitcoin. This should be interesting.
5 and 30. Bitcoin's international grade.
What? What was that? What the heck? Okay, I'm going to hit watch again, but whoa. I don't know what happened there. Okay, X is broken. X is so broken. What was that? Sorry about that, guys. I have no idea what that was. Okay, that video is broken. Sorry. We will get off that right now. Tracy, good to see you. Hopefully there's another video live of Michael Saylor kind of going on his rant there. I really wanted to see him talk about the $13 million Bitcoin. I'm sure I can find it elsewhere on X here. Let me see if I can find it elsewhere. Only 117 likes. Thank you, Tracy. Guys, make sure to smash that like button. We have over 250 people on YouTube, so make sure to go down to the bottom and smash that like button. It's going to be so helpful in getting more people in here. So thank you to everyone who does that. That's so weird. There's something seriously wrong with X's video playback right now. Huh. I don't know what's going on. Maybe X will kind of get fixed on this in a minute, but can't seem to do videos right now on X. Very strange. All right. Well, not the end of the world here. Lee says he was 121. Oh, thank you for dropping the like. Thank you. Appreciate you. We could take a look at the XRP price chart here. I really wanted to pull up that Michael Saylor thing. There's probably another way I can do it fairly easily here. I wonder if X is broken on my computer as well. It's just a Mac thing. Wouldn't be surprised if it's just a Mac thing. Michael Saylor has me blocked also on X. So whenever I go to his page, I'm blocked. So that's funny. I've never said a single thing to Michael Saylor. That's how scared they are of XRP. Michael Saylor has me blocked. I've never even interacted with him. Okay. Looks like I got it here. Here we go.
0.1% of the capital in the world right now. I think it's going to go to 7% of the capital.
7%.
My long-term forecast is it's going to go to
700.
13 million over 21 years.
13 million.
13 million. But what is it 5 years from now? In your 4-year calculus.
You know, it's been growing 44% a year with about a 40 to 50 vol. I would think it'll move on at 40%, then click down to 35, then 30, then 25.
All right. So this is just him throwing out random numbers. Let's go over to this.
card or something that you're going to be watching for, but is there something in particular that you think that we should all be noting?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I think what we should note is overall, you will see a Vice President Harris who's a woman of, she's a practical problem solver. She just wants to get the job done. She has a vision, and she's crystal clear that her vision is one where everybody in America has opportunity. And so what that means is, she's going to have a tax policy that helps workers and businesses, that's fair. She will talk about investments in what helps the American people, and she's incredibly practical. What you'll see on the other side is a former President Trump who is, chaotic, will govern based upon his mood at the moment, his anger. And, I think as a former business person, former governor, his economic proposals are really disastrous. Like if I were a business person and I heard a 20% tariff on every import, and I watched him be so erratic and unpredictable, I think that's scary. Every business person deserves predictability. And so I think that's what I would be watching for. And I'd be looking to see the vice president evince who she is, pro-worker and pro-business at the same time, a collaborative problem solver.
Right. Gina, you talked about predictability, and I think one of the questions that we've had at this table for the last several weeks, actually, since the vice president has been the nominee, is what the predictability is going to be as it relates to the details of her programs, which I think are still amorphous, if you will, in terms of what they really are. I think we don't really know. We had a debate last week a little bit with Mark Cuban, who's been having some back channel conversations with the Harris campaign. He's hearing certain things. We haven't heard all of them publicly. How much detail on all of these plans do you believe, and whether it's from the former president or whether it's from Harris, do you think that the American people deserve before they go to the polls, recognizing, by the way, that it's not just going to the polls physically in November. In some states, you're able to mail in now effectively. And so you would want the voters to know as much as humanly possible, I'd imagine.
Yes, here's what I think is most important. Like at the end of the day, I think Kamala Harris is being incredibly honest. She knows she has to work with Congress. Trump can throw out whatever he says about this tax policy, that tax policy. You actually have to get in there and work with Congress. The minutia. I don't think the American public are really interested in the minutia of, the mechanism of how she'll increase taxes on billionaires. Like, here's the important point, which is what.
But I would assume there's not that many billionaires in the world. I recognize that, and there's a lot of people who'd say get out your smallest violin for the billionaires. But I would assume if you happen to be a billionaire and you happen to be an American citizen, you'd want to know how you were going to be impacted.
Here's what Here's what's crystal clear. Trump wants to cut taxes on billionaires and cut taxes on corporations who don't need it. It will balloon the deficit, and ultimately, it's the average American worker who will pay. Kamala Harris has been crystal clear. Billionaires need to pay more. It is wrong that a school teacher, truck driver, construction worker pays more in taxes, a higher rate than a billionaire. And she says she will fix it. Exactly the mechanism. The American public doesn't have time to study the tax code. They want to know there's somebody in the Oval Office fighting for them. And she has been crystal clear. She will raise taxes on billionaires. She, more than anyone I've ever talked to running for president, and admittedly, I have a small sample, she talks about innovation. She's obsessed with increasing innovation, helping startups, helping small businesses. Crazy way to say innovation. And she's obsessed with making the wealthy and billionaires.
But Gina, and this is where this is actually where they connect. So one of the ideas around the this question about taxing unrealized gains on a wealth tax actually goes back and relates, oddly enough, to startups. And I think there are folks in the Valley, as you know, who have been asking questions about how a program like that would ultimately work.
Right. But again, what has she said? She's broken with President Biden to say she wants to lower capital gains below 30%. That took a bit of courage for her to break with the current president. But she said, I want that's American. Americans strike out, take risks, start businesses, and she says, let's reward that. She has said she's giving a big tax cut to small businesses. I think, and she's giving a big tax cut to families because she knows how expensive it is to have kids and, care for children. So I think she's been crystal clear on her values, what she wants to fight for and how she will do it. And also, she talks to people, right? She's reaching out to me. She's reaching out to businesses.
She hasn't talked to the press, Gina. I mean, I know you're a surrogate, but the American people are frustrated. The media is frustrated at the amount of access anyone's gotten to her for the past 41 days. I know you've seen that. We're finally going to have a debate tomorrow night, but she sat down for one interview that was taped and then cut down, and certain little things came out from it. But it has been a master class in avoiding any questions, and nothing's been made clear by her. Maybe it's been made clear in dribs and drabs from her policymakers when it comes out in print or on off a teleprompter at one of her scripted speeches. She's been impossible to pin down on anything because she hasn't given any access. The American people deserve it. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, and I hear you, but I respectfully disagree. This is a presidential election like no other. She only has a few weeks to do everything, and she's spending her time talking to Americans. She's has a punishing schedule, out and about everywhere, being with the people who she wants to elect her. But I guess, look, tomorrow night it will be on display. It'll be a robust debate. I guess from where I see it, and were I a former, still in my old role as a governor,
I completely forgot the debate was tomorrow night. Wow.
Seeing her somebody who has a vision, who's been really clear about her desire to help businesses and small businesses. She talks about being, pro-business, pro-worker at the same time. And I just see in Donald Trump somebody who governs with great unpredictability. He wakes up one day, he's angry at some sector, and he'll lash out on them. I also, frankly, think that his tariff proposal is downright scary and destabilizing. So America can't afford that, right? Businesses can't afford it, families can't afford it, and I think it's crystal clear who will be better on the economy.
Gina Raimondo, it's a longer conversation. We hope to have you back soon. We'll be watching, of course, the debate, and I'm sure we'll talk to you after it. Thank you again. We're coming right back after this.
Interesting. Yeah, I always like listening to that stuff. I mean, to me, it's like a lot of BS on that part. But yeah, I do think there were some interesting points there. Mostly around kind of, do most Americans really care? I actually think that's a decent point, and it's unfortunate because I don't know how many Americans really do care. And like, that's kind of been the vibe of the Biden admin. It's like, I don't know how to say this without like sounding like a jerk, but like, can we convince the people who don't actually care about any of these important things to vote for us, because we're going to run a policy on them not caring about anything and just voting because we say things that sound good? I mean, that's essentially the policy. And as much as I think the policy is bogus, to a certain degree, it's like, I think Republicans need to have a better answer to that. Like, what, if people are not going to change and people are not going to care, how do you appeal to those people? So, obviously, I think a lot of that was just crap, right? Just to say, oh, people don't care what the policy is, what the tax policy is. Of course, people care. It's just, you're trying to appeal to the people who don't care. And that's been one of my pushbacks on the Republicans as well. It's like, look, you do everything by the book. You try to do everything in this way where it makes everything sound like, okay, this is exactly how it is, policy in place, which is perfect. But does there need to be a certain portion that is more appealable to people who have no idea what's happening? I think it's an interesting question. But I mean, obviously, that was just an interview full of word salads of more pushing off of the actual answers. People do care Trump got in last time because he was different. I agree. I completely agree that people do care. I'm wondering if it makes sense to also try to put more of an outreach out to people who don't. Good point, Roger. Yeah, and I probably don't follow it enough to I probably don't follow Trump's individual messages enough to be able to comment fairly on that. So good point. Good point. Let's take a look and see if we get any other interesting economic data this morning. It doesn't look like we do. It looks like the Michael Saylor thing. What did... Yes, dude. No one cares. They want to watch Kardashians and football. Yeah, too many numbnuts. Exactly. That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it, and I kind of see that. Market alert. What's the market alert?
267 points now, and that's about where we were. It really been stable throughout the entire 3-hour show. Up 143 now on the NASDAQ, up the S&P, up 38. Where is that tomorrow?
The big debate?
No, I know
where I'm headed.
Yeah,
I'm going to LA
again
for the big game plan boardroom
again.
CNBC extravaganza.
Tomorrow.
It's going to be something. We got everybody from Kevin Durant to Rob Manfred's going to be there. Jessica Alba, Rich Paul,
Manfred Mann,
Evan Spiegel. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one.
And then there is, I guess.
And then we've got the big debate tomorrow night, and then I will see you on Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning.
Yes, sir.
Oh, no.
Bright and early.
Get enough sleep on that aura.
Bright and early.
Make sure you join us tomorrow. Squawk on the Street is next. Good night.
Good morning. And good Monday morning as well. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm David Faber with Jim Cramer. We're live from Post 9 at the New York Stock Exchange. Carl's off this morning. Let's give you a quick look at the futures. You just heard Joe and Andrew talking about the markets, of course. Looked like we're going to be up, Jim, after I was out last week, but it wasn't the best week.
Last week was a terrible week.
If at least you were long the market.
Exactly. And Friday was really bad. And I've got to tell you once again, David, it's my alleged favorite NVIDIA that is dragging things
Well, we're
down.
going to be talking about that. Our roadmap does, of course, start, as you might expect, with those stocks that are looking to rebound following that rough start to September. The NASDAQ is coming off its worst week since January of 2022. Yeah. Plus, it's glow time for Apple. The company is hosting its long-awaited iPhone event today. We're going to get you ready for that. As well, also day one for the new CEO at Starbucks. In case you haven't heard, his name is Brian Niccol. He used to run Chipotle, and he's aiming to turn things around for a company that seemingly has sort of lost its way a bit. Stock's still down more than 20%.
A bit is a questionable term because I think it would be a lot.
Okay. I know you got a lot to say on that. Let's start, though, with, of course, these markets. You already heard Jim referring, of course, to the performance of NVIDIA last week. Not alone in the sense of many of the chip-related names were getting hit. Once again, and I know, again, I wasn't here for it, but you were hearing, because I still am involved in hearing about what's going on, these questions as well about the long-term return on invested capital and whether, in fact, you're ever going to really get that return that is justified by the hundreds of billions that are being invested.
Look, I think you're onto something huge, which is that the semiconductors have become the proxy for whether AI is anything or not, even though there's plenty that shouldn't be the proxy. Wait to say a Micron down very, very big. But you know what? We don't talk about this. The consumer packaged goods stocks, David, they're parabolic. Now, we do know there's history on their side that you're supposed to actually buy them right here on the economic cycle. But, David, when I look at a Campbell soup, I look at it and I say, like, Mondelez, are these the new growth stocks really?
Hard to imagine or make a real case that they're truly growth stocks.
No, and I do think that I would rather take a look at whether Dell is sustainable for more than one day, having been added to the S&P, because Dell was one of the weakness stocks, Super Micro, some of the Qualcomm. These are not companies that there's anything wrong at. So I thought it was pretty interesting.
You know, when it comes to
Damn, sorry about that, True. That's one of the annoying things. It's like obviously the people who have been watching the live streams OG at the 1 o'clock time. If this is going to be too early, I hate that, but it's unfortunately there's really not much I can do about it. So hopefully going forward you can kind of catch the end of these. True. Last 30 minutes should be kind of pulling into that time for most people. It comes back into a time period they can get involved in. But I do apologize for that. I know for some people this time switch up kind of takes them out of that normal zone. Yeah, we're not watching it anymore. We're not watching it anymore. Getting the economic data is important, but this is about the time that CNBC turns into nothingness right when Kramer comes on. So we'll tune back in the scenario Kramer leaves and there's something interesting going on, but let's see what else we got. Racing Destin, this is the perfect time of the day for me. Yeah, I think overall it's the best time of the day just because if anything interesting happens, like we want to cover it in the morning. So we want to know about it going into the day. So I think it's the best time available to be able to get into what's happening and what's changing. And then go into the day with the appropriate information, like to like get you ready. You don't vote for Trump. All right. This is going to be a big week for crypto. Or I don't know. I don't know if this is really going to be that big of a week for crypto. I know that's probably not the answer you want to hear, but would rather give you the realistic answer than the answer you want to hear. To me, it all comes down to this. Not Sailor. Geez. To me, it all comes down to like, when are we going to get a next big catalyst? And for me, that big catalyst has to be this October 7th date. So this October 7th date to me has to be that big catalyst. Like that has to be the thing for XRP. I hope XRP trades sideways into this. And then ultimately the SEC doesn't appeal. And that's that big moment. Everything I'm seeing right now from legal professionals say that they don't believe the SEC has decided yet whether or not they're going to appeal. And I think that's very good news because yes, that means the SEC actually is thinking about this and saying, hey, is this really a good idea? If it was just a vendetta against Ripple, I think the appeal would have already been done. So I think that's very good news. They are actively saying, hey, is this really something we want to do? CPI data on Wednesday, it's big. Yeah, CPI data on Wednesday is going to be huge. Yeah, let's do some charts. Let's talk about CPI real quick. I did have this pulled up. I will show this off quickly because this is something we've watched pretty closely on the channel. Bitcoin to XRP ratio is still creating this bottom. We're yet to get that big moment of volatility where we really pull off this bottom. I still think it's coming. I think things look really good here. We just need XRP to kind of make gains against Bitcoin. And as we go back to what we were talking about 1 second ago, that very well could be as soon as we move to the end of this range here. And we do get that clarity that the SEC is not going to be appealing the case. I think that's most likely going to be the thing that drives XRP moving forward. I can't see how that wouldn't be a massive catalyst to know that this case is, for all intensive purposes, dead and gone, and we no longer have to worry about that. So keeping an eye on that. Obviously, that's going to be our big thing. That's the next big date I can think of that is going to have a significant influence on where we move going forward. Take a look at inflation. I want to quickly show why this is such a big deal. Here's inflation in the United States. What we can see is like we're in free fall now. And I wouldn't be surprised if this print takes us down to like low 2%. So I think this next print's going to be substantially down. And this is going to be what the Federal Reserve needs to see to say, okay, we need to pivot hard. So we're going to get the rate decision, I believe, next week. But if this number comes in anywhere close to 2.5, I mean, this range right here, this line right here is where once we go below, we're below the 100-year average for inflation. So think about that. We're actually going to have less inflation than we're used to over the past 100 years. So that's going to be a clear indication that rate cuts need to happen. And that's why Messi is correctly saying how big of a deal it is to get those inflation numbers on Wednesday. Guys, make sure if you have a second, you exit out of the live chat and drop a like on the stream. We have almost 1,000 people in here right now, but You guys doing those simple things really do a lot to make sure more people see this. People who haven't tuned in before get pushed to stream. I'm taking a look at live on X right now, and look, we put up big numbers on X. It's impressive. So if you are watching on X, a retweet goes a long way. A like goes a long way. On YouTube, the same exact thing. But I think we very well could rival some of the bigger people out there. But you guys play a massive part in pushing the stream to other people. So guys, thank you so much for everyone who does do that. And if you haven't done that yet, I'd really appreciate it. So this is what inflation's doing. And then I know I've talked about this ad nauseum, but the next thing we need after those inflation numbers is rates to come down. So if we take a look at rates, probably have to do interest rates. For some reason, I'm not getting my my chart for it here. Oh, that's the United States unemployment. We don't want unemployment. We want rates. Oh, United States interest rates. Okay, so take a look at this. This is what we're dealing with in terms of interest rates. And I don't know why these drawings are so messed up right now. But we are at a very obvious peak in terms of interest rates here. And this is likely going to be the result of those Fed rate cuts. So because inflation is back in line, the Fed obviously, whenever it gets to this point, is historically pivoted and brought rates down. And that's pretty much exactly what we're looking at right now. The Federal Reserve is likely going to drop interest rates because inflation is going to be back in line. And then from there, hopefully, this is going to cause that equity boom. Guys, I have to take care of one thing for 2 seconds. So listen up to this real quick, and then we'll pivot back over to the charts.
Bell ringing. Oh, look at this. What was that? The pick six?
Oh, so you didn't go to Brazil, did you?
No, I wanted to go to Brazil. I wasn't asked.
Oh, you weren't asked?
By a particular network covered it. I would have gone down there. There's my grandfather. There's 3 brothers down in Brazil.
No kidding.
Yes, so there's just
So you have some family down there.
You bet in that city.
Yeah. All right.
Be a reunion.
All right. To come back to the topic at hand before we take a quick break. You're not expecting much from this Apple announcement.
No, and I'll tell you why.
In terms of at least performance of the stock or you point out the subsidies, very important. 2021 was the last time they saw a huge uptick in iPhone sales. And in fact, it was 5G and it was the subsidies from the carriers themselves that helped that.
Yes, and I did a piece this weekend for Club about the Magnificent Seven. And I did cite that Apple's been holding up better, which is therefore not good news because, you shoot anybody whose head picks up out of the trench. The Bears have shot. And the Bulls are on the run Bulls are scared, David.
Yeah. Although to put it in perspective, what are we, 4% off the highs overall?
Yeah, but still, it came down.
Not exactly.
Even though you weren't here, it went down.
That's true. That actually happens a lot.
We're going to talk about Disney.
What do you want to talk about Disney? With DirecTV? What?
More of that Jim Stewart article.
Oh. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about that.
No.
I
thought it was quizzical.
Did you?
No, not Jim Stewart's piece. I was
on a plane most of yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was a long. You're right. It was a long piece. You would have had to go from Cleveland to New York.
I was exhausted. Okay. All right. So I won't say that I didn't read it, but I'll just share that.
Okay. And we have additions. The S&P.
Give me a chance. Yes, Palantir and Dell both joining the S&P. Both those stocks are going to be up. And by the way.
There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Just one of those mornings where things are not going to plan, but you'll get through them. There's a decent amount of cold brew on my leg right now, so that's a nice way to start out the morning. But we've got it taken care of. Oh man. All right. As we were just talking about, U.S. inflation coming down, interest rates likely coming down, and the effect on the dollar is really the more important thing we need to be talking about, because the dollar is the thing that I believe controls the capital coming into most markets. Take a look at this. The dollar right now has clearly clearly come down to this support line, and we're really wanting the dollar to fall through here. So the dollar has a very, very good opportunity to go on a substantial fall lower. And we want to make sure that that fall comes in accordance to these interest rates being cut and inflation going away. I think it is very, very likely that this formation plays out and the dollar does make a substantial move downward here. It just looks like that would be the thing that happens on this chart as well. Like, I think it is possible for the dollar to chop in here a little bit more and then come down, but it just looks like the dollar's ready to make that move to me. And if we zoom out and take a look at what this looks like on a larger time frame, because I think that's important. We can see that this really is in trend with what we would expect over the long run. So over the long run, I think the dollar makes it down here. What causes that to happen? How will the dollar get down there? Dollar will dump to 96% in weeks, or okay, yeah. I think that very well could be likely. At first, when I read that, Messi, I read dollar will dump 96% in a couple weeks. And I'm like, I don't know if the dollar's dumping 96%, but the dollar can definitely get to this 96 level, in my opinion. And then over the next couple of years, I think trend downward to maybe the low 70s. And yes, I truly believe XRP will one day be at 1K, but that's when institutions are using it for how it's fully supposed to be used. Yeah, I generally agree with that. I like I said earlier, I think we're still so early to this industry. I mean, there's not even rules yet. So it's like asking why no one was using the internet prior to rules being created for the internet. It's because there's no rules, so companies really can't adopt it. So I tend to agree with you also. I think the price is going to be much higher than many people can really wrap their head around, but it's going to take real world adoption of this technology in order to really push it to these new levels. So I do believe we could see XRP at that $1,000 price, but like you, like, I don't think it's just going to happen. I don't think we're just going to have an $1,000 XRP because we have an $1,000 XRP. I think we absolutely need demand for the cryptocurrency. And yeah, I did talk about this last night, Roger. Speculation will only get us so far, and speculation will get us to the point where I think we could easily see a $10 XRP, right? I think a $10 XRP just from speculation, I think that can easily happen. I think speculation can take this market pretty far. But in that same exact note, if we really want to see the XRP prices that I think are like outrageously high, I think we absolutely need real world adoption. And I think that's going to come through automated market makers, tokenized currencies, XRP as a bridge currency for CBDCs, all these different things that we've heard talked about, but we're still waiting to come to fruition. Just depends on utility. Regs are coming. If Trump gets in, it happens faster. Jamie Dimon and Brad think stablecoin regulations before the election. Yeah, Jamie Dimon and Brad think that. I'm more skeptical on stablecoin regulations. I don't think the current administration is going to do anything. Like, it's all talk with them. Like, I just don't think anything is going to happen. I pray I'm wrong. I do. I pray I'm wrong. I pray I'm being overly pessimistic, but I just can't see them getting anything done for crypto. And like, it's like every single time there's a small part of me that thinks, oh, they're talking about it again. Oh, they're bringing this up. It's like they go back and revert to the position that they're not going to do anything good for crypto. So I have to see differently. I have to see something different before I can believe it. And like, it's just like, I haven't gotten, you can't believe it until something changes, and just, there has been no change. There hasn't been anything. What are your thoughts on a Sol ETF not going through? So the SEC is definitely throwing some shade at Sol here. I don't know how that's going to work out in terms of what ends up happening with an ETF. To me, it seems like the SEC is just straight up saying there's not going to be a SOL ETF. So they said, hey, we think SOL might be a security, which is kind of a crazy accusation to throw out there because, I don't know, it's like you've already lost on every single case of the token itself being a security. But it looks like the SEC is trying to say Solana is a security. So I don't know. They're saying that because of that, they can't pass a Solana ETF. To me, that seems like a Solana ETF is not going to happen. I don't know how else to say it. Like, to me, that seems like they're just going to say, okay, we don't feel like making a Solana ETF. There's not going to be a Solana ETF. So it's interesting, but I think it's actually more likely that if the SEC does not appeal on October 7th, that it's more likely that we get an XRP ETF before a Solana ETF. XRP was number 2 in market cap back in 2017. Yeah, and I think it's actually higher in market cap than many people truly understand today. If you've seen me talk about how market cap is manipulated, you would know that I think XRP's market cap is actually larger than USDC's and actually very close to being behind Solana. So we can talk about this real quick. I think it's interesting. XRP's market cap is defined based off of the circulating supply of XRP, which I believe should be 100 billion. So I believe XRP's market cap should actually be 53 billion, but it's only listed as 29 billion. So Solana is listed at 60 billion. So if XRP actually had the correct market cap calculation, I believe it'd be very, very, very close to that. No problem, Steve. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate that. So that's just because the total amount of XRP is 100 billion. So I believe it should be 100 billion times the market cap. All of the XRP ever has been released. So I think it should be in the market cap calculation. Like, it's not that complicated. Pretty much every Solana ever released is in the market cap calculation. Floor, yes, we do morning live streams now. That's going to be the new MO for this channel. So appreciate you stopping by, and hopefully you can make more in the future. I know for some people the morning live streams are less convenient. Some people it's more convenient. But I think overall this is a more sensible time. 8 more likes to get to 200. Brian, appreciate you doing that, man. Really appreciate your push on that. It's very, very helpful. So thank you. And guys, let's get those 8 more likes in order to get to 200. According to the rules on CoinMarketCap, any coin that is locked with a smart contract rule or by owner should not be showing in circulating supply. But why is ETH fully diluted as almost all are locked up and staking? That's the thing, Defin. That's the thing. It's so stupid. You should just count all the coins. Like, it's so dumb to try to say in some cases it doesn't count towards circulating supply and others do. So that what Defin is pointing out is for ETH's market cap, pretty much every single ETH in existence is counted towards the market cap. That is not true for almost every other coin. And for XRP, they only count half the coins towards market cap. So if you calculated Ethereum the same exact way you calculated XRP, you'd pretty much have a $53 billion market cap on XRP. And that would catapult it above USDC and right behind Solana. But they calculate it differently, in my opinion, to make the market look different than what it would be if they did calculate it that way. It's important to note that there was a time period in which they did calculate the entire supply of XRP. And in that time, it actually flipped Bitcoin. Oh, this is good. I love this. This is good. XRP equals scam. Why is a token created for a decentralized network being controlled by a privately held corporation who sells programmatically on the open market and keeps all the revenue? Well, what token out there hasn't started with some kind of corporation or some kind of privately held network? Every single one out there. There's the Ethereum Foundation. There was the original Bitcoin creators who got together to create Bitcoin. There's the core Bitcoin developers who are still in control of most of what happens on the Bitcoin network. It's all the same. Like, I think the majority of people who don't understand that XRP is just as decentralized as the rest of the cryptocurrency market just don't understand the rest of the cryptocurrency market. It's crazy. It's like they think because no one tells them that the Ethereum Foundation is selling Solana, I'm selling Ethereum, that means no one's selling Ethereum. Or they think because no one in the Solana Foundation tells them that they're selling Solana, that no one's selling Solana. Like, that's how these underlying foundations pay for all the things they do. It's just, it's dead obvious. And it's funny that some people would rather just not know. And for them, like, not knowing and not be in these corporations and private entities not being transparent about it, for them, that's like a win. That's a win. For them, if they don't have to know about it or hear about it, then that means it doesn't happen. So it is funny. Like, Ripple's just been transparent. Ripple tells it like it is. Ripple says, hey, we sell XRP to fund some of the stuff we do. Like, that's just how it works. Yeah, transparency bites them in the butt in the short term, Roger, in terms of FUD, but I think over the long run, it's going to be a big winner. The problem is not a lot of people in crypto have common sense like us. Like, I feel like we're one of the most common sense communities out there. So for us, it's like, of course you'd want them to be transparent. Like, I just want to know how it is. I don't care if something's bad or good. I just want to know what it is. And then I'll evaluate my decision based on whether or not I think it's bad or good. Like, I just want to know what's going on. I don't need everything sugar coated. I don't need things people pretending like things are something like it's not. Just tell me what it is and I'll figure it out. It seems like in the Ethereum and Solana case, it's more of a, hey, we're just going to not tell you about anything. And then when you figure it out, or if you can figure it out, then you can make a decision based off that. But we just don't want to address anything transparently. Like, that's, to me, a lot bigger of an issue than Ripple just saying things how they are. On TikTok, there are former XRP creators coming back now, buying into XRP and saying they are selling as soon as pump to go back to Solana and base to buy more memes. They can do whatever they want, Defend. They can do whatever they want. If you want to be in the business of buying and trading and moving from one crypto asset to another, be my guest. But I don't know how many people really won out from constantly switching between Apple and Amazon and some crap internet company in the early days. Like, the people who did the best were the people who just held. Like, sometimes you don't have to overcomplicate it. Find an asset, find a technology that's going to change the world and hold it for 10 to 15 years. Like, it's a simple equation. It's a simple equation. It's been massively successful and it's outperformed almost every trading strategy. I call $1 XRP in November. Yeah, to be fair, I lost a bet that XRP would have been $1 in 2024. So, look, things have obviously taken longer than many people have wanted, but I don't think it's necessarily any indication that anything has changed in terms of the long-term thesis. Like, things take longer to play out, and that's annoying, but overall, I think it's just delayed gratification. Ripple Labs is the bellwether for fair play in crypto, holding stock. Yeah, and I just think they have the right approach. Like, if you're under the assumption that the new financial system is going to be created by you and me, and we're all going to be our own banks and everything like that, then look, you can still go with XRP, but I think there's better bets out there. I think in terms of institutional adoption, top-down approach, large banks adopting blockchain technology and customers using blockchain technology without even knowing it, I think that's the real thesis behind XRP. Very different than most of the other cryptocurrencies. Most of the other cryptocurrencies are, hey, everyone's going to know they're using crypto. Everyone's going to be using NFTs. Everyone's going to be doing all these different things on like Sunday Swap and stuff like that. Just a different thesis, right? And that's one of the things I think really silos the XRP community from a lot of the other communities out there. we have a very different thesis on on how all this looks when it's said and done. And I think that difference in thesis, that difference in how we look at the market, changes kind of how we think things are going to play out, and changes a lot of our core principles on what's important in the market. So, it's tough. It's getting two people who look at the market completely differently and value completely different things to agree on which technology is going to be the most important. And if you have a fundamental different view on how everything looks, then it's really hard to come together and agree on some of the basics of the technology when the whole thesis or the whole outcome looks completely different from one person to another. Good to remember, if Ripple is to transfer more than 50 billion, they need XRP to be a higher price, as XRP is 50 cents. The ODL function actions might be net neutral, but function don't work. Exactly. Yep. You nailed it, Defin. It's something I've talked about on the channel a lot, and it's something that gets a lot of pushback for some reason. I don't know. People see net neutral and they don't understand that it can be net neutral. But if you need a $1 trillion payment, which is probably unrealistic, but if you needed to move $1 trillion, right, you're not going to be doing it with a market cap of 50 billion on the XRP ledger. You need a lot more. Market open, Palantir opening strong, up 8%, added to the S&P 500. Tesla up 2%, looks pretty solid. Rest of the market seems to be opening decently well, which is great to see. Need some strength in broader markets. It's something we've really been lacking. It seems like there's a lot of fears around recession. Seems like there's a lot of fears around the economy. And it's been those kinds of things that I believe has really kind of held us back. But market is open. Oh, that's funny. My former boss, here he is.
California,
Yeah, remember?
serving the Asian American community, did the honor.
Back when I used to work in Medtronic. Cool. Yep, market opening pretty well. We'll monitor throughout the day. Palantir looking good. Tesla looking all right. Seems like the market's trying to get its feet. The big thing is going to be Wednesday when we get that inflation data. That's going to be the key sign to really indicate, hey, did we really create a short-term bottom, or do we have more to go? All right, guys, with all that said, we're going to shut it down here. Guys, thank you so much for coming. You guys are all absolutely incredible. Really appreciate you guys all being here. Same time, same thing tomorrow. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. I hope everyone has a great day. If anything really interesting happens, we'll make sure to cover it here. Guys, I'll talk to you later. And for now, Mickle out.